What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to another one. We are gonna talk about the latest news surrounding 3i Atlas. It's an interstellar object. We're not calling it a comet yet until they actually observe the pictures. But the problem is, it passed Mars. It did. It passed Mars, and it passed at a astronomical rate of speed. But they took pictures of it. But guess what? We can't see it because the government shut down. So they shut NASA down. So we can't see it. They won't transmit the pictures to us. So this is something. Something's going on here. There's a lot of speculation on what they think this is, but they're just calling it, just to be on the safe side, they're calling it just an interstellar object. This is not out of the ordinary for an interstellar object to enter our solar system. Muamua. It was an interstellar object that entered and it passed right through and is leaving our solar system, leaving the galaxy, right? So this particular object is a little bit strange. And did you also know that an interstellar object landed on Earth? Did y'all know that? It landed in the ocean, I think off the coast of India. We'll listen to a little bit of that as well. That happened in 2014, but they didn't tell us. They did not tell us this happened in around 2014, and they went to collect it eventually. And I believe Ari Loeb, that's talking about this particular interstellar object, he had led a team to go out there and retrieve the wreckage of that interstellar object, which they thought it was a probe. And they also think possibly this particular interstellar object that's moving through now is a probe as well, because it's on a perfect trajectory and it's going past our planetary plane, and it's like precise. It's like you ain't getting no precise than this. And also, this particular object also came from the constellation. What was it? The constellation Sagittarius, I believe, where the wild signal came from. They had traced this particular interstellar object, and it came from that constellation, and which is like in the center of the galaxy, like in that origin. They're thinking that this could have been a radio signal sent by this particular object back 40 years ago. And it just now reached us. They said it could have just gave us a warning that it was coming 49 years ago. It was literally 49 years ago that that wild signal was sent. In order for something to reach us from outside of our galaxy, had to been a nuclear type of device for a signal like that to reach us. So I've been doing a lot of research on this because now all of a sudden we can't see it. They're not sharing the pictures with us because it's a government shutdown, and NASA's not sharing anything because NASA went dark. So what are the odds of this thing passing through Mars and then NASA goes dark? Because everybody was waiting for the picture. I was waiting for it. Okay, right before, right during it, because I was timing. I said, okay, the Diddy trial, when that happened, that means that this thing is passing through Mars and we're going to be able to see it. And the thing is green, by the way. It don't turn all the way green. Now I don't know why that's happening, and they're puzzled by it as well. And but they can confirm that this thing is huge, whatever it is. It's big. It's bigger than any interstellar object that we have seen thus far. There has been other objects that has been big, you know, in size. However, this is like the granddaddy of them all. This is huge. Billions, it weighs billions of tons or something like that. I'm like, what? How big is this thing to be that heavy? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this? What in the world is this? If this a mothership, we about to find out. We getting ready to find out whether they trying to hide it from us or not. But we just calling it an interstellar object for right now. But it did pass Mars on October 3rd, October 2nd, 3rd, but the government shut down. So they're not giving us no pictures of it. Yeah, NASA shut down. They got pictures of it though, but they won't share it with us. So why not? If it's a regular interstellar object, let us see it. Because you let us see Muamua. You let us see the pictures of that. Let us see the pictures of this. Yeah, let us see the pictures of this right here.
Are all inactive, not being updated. Kind of odd and bizarre. I'm not going to comment on it more than that, but we do have this shutdown interfering with our ability to observe actually what is happening in our interstellar neighborhood. And
all right, let me stop there. He's talking about the government shutdown. Now, it is very odd. It's very odd that it shut. What are the odds of the government shutting down right before this interstellar object passes Mars? It passed between the 2nd and 3rd. It passed. And they took pictures of it. They sure did. They took pictures of it. But we can't, they won't let us see it. And then also, we can observe things on the NASA website, but they shut it down so we can't observe it. Because I was on the NASA website, I said, okay, cool. When they transmit the pictures, I'm going to be able to see it so I could show y'all. It went black. Oh, sorry, the government shut down. You can't see it. They're hiding it from us. They're hiding it from us. That means that this thing is not natural. They're hiding this from us. They're hiding it now. I don't get. I mean, what's the coincidence of a government shutdown and then we can't see this thing? You said my tarot card. Oh man, Jay, don't say that because he's never wrong about this. Guys, I've known Jay Boss. How many years have we known each other, Jay? When you've been coming on here, how many years? Since Aaron Hernandez, right? That's been about that's been like well over 8 years. Every single time he comes in here with his tarot card readings, guys, I'm telling you right now, it's almost eerie. I hope he didn't say it. I was just hoping that you wouldn't come in here and say that. Every time he come in here with the tarot cards, he's never wrong. And Jay Boss will just pop up because Jay Boss, y'all haven't seen him in a minute. He'll just pop up every now and then. He said my tarot cards say it's some type of man-made or hold up, craft. Sorry, I ain't got my glass on. Some type of man-made craft. And it's nothing we could do about it. Right. It's nothing we could do about it, guys. Nothing. This thing is more powerful than us. And guess what? Guess what? Guess what my spirit is telling me? These are humans. They're like us, but they're a lot older than we are. They're a lot older and they've been here before. This is not the first time they come here. It's not the first time. But you remember back in the 40s, 30s, even I'm talking about life prior to the 1970s. Well, life prior to the Hubble telescope. Right, I know you be very busy, but you come in here every now and then. But then when you say your tarot cards say boom this, you never wrong about it. So look, right? Um, okay. Let me see. Yeah, see, that's why when I was covering that, you probably saw that I was covering this. You're like, all right, let me go to my tarot cards and see what's happening. And then you came in here and said, I was like, oh man, he's saying it's like some type of man-made craft. And now let me just say this. This is a man-made craft. That's something we cannot do. We cannot duplicate nothing like this. I promise you we can't. And that's why they're upset about it. And they're not going to tell us what it is. How convenient that the government shut down when I'm on NASA website waiting to see the pictures. I'm just waiting to see it. And the next thing you know, the screen goes black. And guess what? This thing is on time too. Just when they said it, okay, on October something, this craft or whatever it is on time. It's on time. Guess what? Now we can't see it. You know why? Because it's hiding behind the sun. So we can't even see it. So now all of a sudden, now if you got like some special shades and you sun gaze, you're still not going to be able to see it because of the glare of the sun. It's in back of the sun, like right now, as far as our perspective is concerned. And we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it. And the next time we might be able to see it is in November. That's the next time, but I doubt it. This thing was on purpose. But look, we don't know if it's changing its trajectory right now. We don't know. It could be changing its trajectory to come to us, and we can't see it. Now you tell me that ain't slick. Tell me that's not slick, man. Because we can't see it. I think this was by design. They don't want us to see it. But it passed through Mars, though. And we got a rover on Mars that did pick up those pictures. And now we can't see the pictures, man. Yeah, we're not the only ones in the universe. We're not. We're not. They said they think that this thing has been traveling since for 49 years now to get to us. I doubt that. I doubt it. They've been knew about us, but they just decided they probably just want to pull up this time. They may have sent probes our way years ago. They already know who we are. I bet you they've already been here. And I bet you they're human on top of it. It's just they got humans other places in the universe. We're not the only humans that in the universe. I know that. And if they want to do something to us, there's nothing we could do. If you got a ship that can make it all the way here like that, it ain't nothing you could do. Nothing. There is nothing we can do about it. Nothing. And I kind of like that because the powers that be, this is gonna humble their ass. If it is really something like I think it is, it'll humble them. And none of us gonna have to. If this thing changed, guys, I promise you, if this thing changed direction and all of a sudden it's floating to us and it's a ship, we don't have to pay no more bills. I promise you this. For the next month, don't even pay no bills. Don't worry about it because ain't nobody gonna be worried about it. So then you can save some money because ain't nobody paying no bills for what? What you gonna do to me? You need to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. What's up, Keeper? All right, so let me see. Let's see what else he's saying.
With this object that is the most bizarre of any that we have ever observed. A lot of people think it may be some sort of technology or alien ship. It does have a variety of very weird features to it. The fact that it's so closely aligned to the ecliptic plane of the solar system, the fact that it's traveling so fast at about 60 kilometers per second. It'll peak at about 68 kilometers per second during its perihelion, October 29th and the 30th. And that is, of course, if it actually gets there. Right now, we are limited in our ability to observe 3i Atlas from Earth because of the glare of the sun. So check that out. This right here is the superior conjunction of 3i Atlas as viewed from Earth. We also have another comet nearby here.
In other words, we're not going to be able to see it. All right. Look at this. We can't see it. There it is right there. We can't see it. We can't see it. The sun is right there. It's right. We're not. This dude, it looked like it's heading towards us, y'all. I'm just being honest with y'all, man. That's what it looks like. They're not telling us, but this looked like it's heading towards us. God damn. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, man. And hey, man, it'll pull up right before the holidays. Straight up, they'll ruin everybody's holiday, man-made holiday anyway. It's gonna ruin everybody's man-made holiday. Look at it. Look at it. It looks like it's headed to. Hold on, let me show you. It looked like it's headed towards.
Here, this is R2 Swan. I've been talking.
You see the Earth? You see that blue spot? See that blue spot? See the sun? And see, and look past the sun. It looked like it's headed towards us. That's what it looks like. I was asking a friend of mine, she's into this. She's went to school for this. She was like, it's not actually heading towards us. It's orbiting the sun. We're gonna reach perihelion. I said, what if it reached perihelion and just comes straight at us? Because it's a ship. She said, well, we'll find out in November if that's the case. That's what she said. So I said, well, it's a comet, right? And she looked at me and said, say that again. I said, it's a comet, right? She said, no. I said, what you mean it's not a comet? She said, it's an interstellar object. We don't know if it's a comet yet. I said, what do you mean you don't know? How about a meteor? She said, no. She said, because of the trajectory, she said it's very, very perfect and it's going right through our ecliptic plane. She said it's not changing, it's not changing directions or deviating that much off its program. She said program projection. She said this thing seemed like it's programmed. And I said, what do you mean it's programmed? She said it looks like it's programmed. So I said it's a comet. She said it's an interstellar object. She said we won't know if it's a comet until we get the pictures back from the Mars rover. Then we'll be able to tell. And that's all she said. But she said if it's like something that's man-made, like from somewhere else, yeah, it could be headed towards us. That's what she said. She said if it's alien made, it's coming towards us. I said the header. She said no, it'll slow down. It's gonna slow down. I said get the fuck. She was dead serious. She was like, we don't know what it is yet. Okay, we don't know what this is. This been wrecking my brain for a minute. You said, Max, are the lights on the object? B lady, it don't turn green on us. It turned green. And they're trying to figure out why it don't turn green. Yeah, it got lights. But we don't know if it's because of the sun or it's their lights. We don't know. You said it's given no man knows the day or the hour. Russia, everybody trying to figure it out, B lady. Everybody's working together on this to try to figure out what it is. And there was they were looking at it from not India. I think it was off the coast of India. They looked at it again and it turned green. You said probably not the archangel, name Michael. We don't know what it is yet. We don't know. So just say an interstellar object. And I got creative, and this is what this image right here is what this is an AI image, obviously. I got creative in my prompts and I came up with this. That's Mars right there. This is what I came up with in my imagination.
About that. But if we go back in time to today, the 3rd of October, we see that it's still pretty much blocked out by the glare of the sun. We do have some recent images of 3i Atlas taken on October 2nd and also some on September 27th and September 25th. But at this moment in time, effectively now, it's going to be really difficult to get images of 3i Atlas because of the glare from the sun. And so it's critical that we get these images from Mars and these different probes. Luckily, we also have the European Space Agency. They're going to be taking a variety of observations and images of 3i Atlas during this closest approach and for the next couple days. We also have some different spacecraft there. So thankfully, we're not dependent just on the United States government here. And in fact, we may already have observed 3i Atlas from Mars. So we have Mars Perseverance, and this was pointed out to me by someone on Twitter. I'll link that in the video description. Their name is Drew, and they noticed this streak in the Perseverance images. And well, I took all the different images for that day. This is yesterday, October 2nd, and this is about 9 minutes of data. And we see this thing streaking across the sky. And this is very bizarre because we see the normal motion of the stars here. So Mars is rotating. So just like on Earth, it looks like the sky is moving. And when you perform an exposure photograph, let's say like 10 seconds or even longer, like a minute, something like that, you will get the stars to streak because it's capturing that motion over time. And so we see the normal motion of...
All right, I got to show y'all this real quick. This is for, reaction purposes. You know what I'm saying? For educational purposes. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody, sitting up here copyright me. But y'all got to see how this looks.
Of the night sky because of Mars rotation as a vertical elongation of these stars. Well, look at this. This thing is clearly not traveling in that normal motion. It's not some sort of artifact because it didn't just show up on one image. It showed up on...
Stop. What do you mean it's not some type of artifact? Then what is it? What is it? You see how the thing is moving. What you said that was a joke? Oh, okay. I don't know. I thought you might have been, I don't know. No, but what is this thing, man?
All the images, and it's moving very quickly. This is 9 minutes of data going through here. So this is bizarre. And you also see that it's elongation due to...
I'm going to tell you something. Just on that elongation, I did some research on that. That thing is huge. Whatever it is huge, and it's going fast as fuck. It's huge. And it's going fast. Like it's moving. But I'm telling you right now, once that thing finishes its perihelium and that thing, if it changed trajectory, I believe it's on its way to us, man. Like for real. They just not saying nothing. And then all of the, I don't know if you guys heard, all of the generals and heads of the military met in Quantico recently. And they all met in Quantico, Virginia. That's at the Marine base, Quantico. What does he mean, artifact? I don't know what he mean. He said ain't no artifact. I don't know what he talking about. I honestly think he knows a little bit more than what he's saying.
The exposure of the photograph is aligned with also the direction of travel that's going, which really indicates that this is something that was picked up, and we don't know what this was. This is October 2nd, so it makes sense that this would be 3I Atlas because of A, its speed, B, because of its very large size. The minimum diameter estimate now is kind of coalesced around 5 kilometers. We'll find out soon with some of these images from Mars if we get them, but it seems very likely that it's at least 5 kilometers across, if not even bigger. I'd put my money on bigger personally because a lot of amateur astronomers have been able to get fairly good images of 3I Atlas. It seems to be a big object, and we see it moving very quickly across the night sky during this closest approach. So we do have...
So that was his closest approach to Mars, excuse me. It just reached its closest approach to Mars on October 2nd. And I was waiting for it. I said, okay, it was October 2nd. Now we about to see something, right? That's what I'm thinking. We about to see something real good, right? But no, we ain't seeing nothing. Nothing. We're not seeing nothing, bro. Not nothing. Okay? Not nothing. They don't want us to see it. That's what I think. They just don't want us to see it, bro. Like for real. Because now the government shut down. And we can't see nothing. You know what I'm saying? And they won't give us the pictures. That's what I've been waiting on all this time. I've been waiting just to see what the comet looked like. Now we can't see it. You said over 1,000, including staff. Yeah, it's crazy.
This imagery from the Perseverance rover, and this is going to be very low resolution compared to some of the other imagery and observations that we will be able to get from the different probes surrounding Mars. But this is what's happening right now. I'm checking all the FTP servers and different data feeds to try to get up-to-date imagery on this as soon as possible. But I have a feeling because of this government shutdown, we're going to have to wait. And I also just have a feeling that a lot of these different groups are going to take these images and they're going to process them. It's going to be at least a few days before we get anything, though I promise I'll keep you up to date. The moment there's a new release that is critical, I will release a video on it. I'll also be releasing updates on my Twitter X account, so that's at Stefan Burns Geo. But we do have some other images of 3i Atlas for the past week or so. Remember, it just got hit by coronal mass ejection around September 25th. So let's see how it has changed in the past week after that coronal mass ejection, if it has done so. And these effectively are the last images that we're going to get of 3i Atlas as observed from Earth. Here we have the first recent image that we're going to look at of 3i Atlas, taken on September 25th, 2025 by Gerald Raymond and Michael Yeager. And this was observed from Namibia, Africa. This is probably the best image of the lot, but it's the one furthest back in time. And this was right before that coronal mass ejection impact to 3i Atlas. But
all right, y'all got to see this. Oh, y'all got to see this. See it? Look at it. Green as fuck. Look at it. And it's big too. It's big. Just look at it from like, it's big, Meryl. It's big. The only thing I can tell you, I don't know how big this thing is, but it's the biggest interstellar object that we have ever seen. This thing is huge. It don't straight up turn green. And it's giving off properties without metal, something with a tint, I forget, whatever it is without metal. And they said that's not normal. Whatever this is. Whatever it is, I think it's getting ready to pull up. Whatever it is.
here we see it has that green color. This is in the optical band. And we see it also has that anti-tail that's sunward facing. So still showing.
Y'all hear that? It's sunward facing. It's sunward facing. It's not supposed to be sunward facing. I don't know what this is, man.
A lot of anomalous characteristics and basically showing up very bright and quite large in this image. And it doesn't have that typical tail that you see with other comets. So there's a bunch of other comets right now flying around the inner solar system or nearby, and they have these super long, dazzling tails. 3i Atlas does not have that. So something is quite bizarre as it relates to 3i Atlas, in addition to some of the other factors I talked about, its inclination to the ecliptic plane, its speed, it's coming from roughly the direction that we had that WOW signal in 1977, only 9 degrees off. There's a whole bunch of oddities as it relates to this interstellar object. So this is what we have observationally around September 25th. Let's look at an image that was taken on the 27th, which is after that coronal mass ejection impact. Now, the next two images of 3i Atlas were taken on September 27th and also October 2nd by a Mr. Romanoff. And this is probably the last good imagery that we're going to get of 3i Atlas. I'll link to his Twitter.
This thing is, hold on. That thing is huge. Look at it. Whatever that is, it's huge. It's huge. Because the coma surrounding the object is half the diameter of the sun, meaning that the bubble around it of gases and plasma, that's what a coma is. It looks like it's a ball, right? It's half the diameter of the sun. So how big is this damn thing? But it's operating strange. He said anomalous. It's like an anomaly. Like they don't know. It's defying their logic on what this thing, how this thing is traveling. It's defying their logic. And it's not going to be, it ain't studying no gravitational pull from no planet. It ain't studying it. It's going too damn fast. Okay. It's going too fast. So it don't have to worry about no gravitational pull from any planet. Don't have to worry about it. Whoever made this thing is on the money. but they won't let us see it. This might be the sexiest spaceship we've ever seen. We ain't never seen nothing this sexy. I promise you this. We ain't never seen nothing this sexy. But we won't let us see it.
Twitter X in the video description. Go check him out. Here we see the image on September 27th. And so we see some other stars and things here, but this is 3i Atlas, and we see this zoomed up view of it there. So very low resolution, but at least it's something. And it's, you know, basically we see that it has this coma. It's not that large in his view, but it depends on what wavelength of light that you're looking at. So if you were to look infrared, this would show up much, much, much larger because of that diffuse, dusty, complex plasma coma surrounding it, whereas there's gas and ice and dust grains and ionized particles, plasma, that is making up this very large coma. That Sphere X image at about 700,000 kilometers across, half the diameter of the sun, that is expected to get bigger and bigger as it gets closer and closer to the sun, because the sun is going to be ionizing it more, heating it up more, causing it to off-gas more and then ionize. So it's likely even larger than that now. And as it gets close to Mars, we don't really know how that's going to interact with the planet. Very likely it doesn't interact in any spectacular way if it's just a normal interstellar object, but we really just don't know what this thing is. I think it's useful to look at all the different ideas and speculations, at least give them a fair shake before casting them out. I don't think it's a comet. I think it's an interstellar object, something of unknown characteristics, and we can't really just put that label of comet on it because it doesn't have that tail like we're seeing from A6 Lemon or from R2 Swan, which have these spectacular tails. It simply does not have that. So this is September 27th. After that coronal mass ejection impact, we don't see any notable changes to 3i Atlas afterwards. We weren't really expecting any. If it did have a long tail, then perhaps a coronal mass ejection impact to 3i Atlas could have broken off that tail and then changed the structure of it. But because it doesn't have that, it's not really that bizarre that it didn't really change much. The biggest change that I would expect is that it would ionize a bit more and perhaps its coma would expand. Let's see the latest image that we have from Mr. Romanoff on October 2nd. And here we have that latest imagery, two different views. This is the 3 raw stacked 60-second exposures, red, green, and blue. We see 3i Atlas right there. Honestly, I'm quite surprised.
All right, let me let you see this. Look how big the thing is, man. He said you just can't call it a comet. You can't call it that. Just say interstellar object because they don't know what it is. It's not operating like a comet. Oh, and by the way, if y'all didn't know, every 17 minutes, it was sitting off a pulsar signal. Every 17 minutes on the dot. That's not natural. That's not naturally made, dog. Every 17 minutes on the dot, it was sending a signal. It's like it's communicating with us. Every 17 minutes on the dot, it was sending a signal. Perfect. Every 17 minutes. You said not a comet. It's an yeah. It's like it's something else. It's something else that we've never seen before.
That we were even able to get any Earth-based observations of 3i Atlas on October 2nd, because it's effectively now outside the ability to observe being so close to the sun. But this seems to be fairly good to me. Even though there's a lot of noise in the background, this looks legit. We also have then this color gradient on it, so to make it a little easier to see in the zoom in. And this is the same image, just put a color gradient on it. And so we see that coma clearly around it. And then this is likely a more dense coma, very unlikely for that to be the nucleus itself, but clearly showing up quite a bit brighter. So there are layers and structures to this thing, right? We saw that with the polarization data where there were structures on the outside that...
There's layers and structures to it. This is something we've never seen before. That's why people need to be, and the new, you know what? The news is not reporting it. They're not reporting on it. The only people that really did something on it was News Nation. They had Ari Loeb on, and that's it. Back to Diddy. Okay, back to Diddy. I've been on this thing since they first saw it. Like I want to know what this thing is, man.
Slightly different polarization than those closer in. We see that the coma is very, very large. 3i Atlas is just very, very anomalous. And that is why it's so important we get these observations on 3i Atlas from all these probes surrounding Mars, because A, they'll give us our highest resolution look yet at this interstellar object by a wide margin, and B, also provide a bunch of supportive evidence and data at the same time. So spectral data and more. But this US government shutdown, it's really a big unknown whether that's going to affect things or not. Some people are saying that everything will continue on and that this is deemed an essential mission and that we will get these observations. But the websites are basically saying, hey, no one's working. We just had like 1.5 million United States workers furloughed, government employees. So everything's in flux right now, and the timing is really, really crazy. I personally don't believe in coincidence. Now, why we would have these two things align at the same time, the close approach of 3i Atlas with Mars and this government shutdown, that I can't tell you. I don't think it's a conspiracy, but I think it's very bizarre that we do have that alignment. It just really shows our own ineptitude, effectively. But thankfully, there are other organizations out there which are not shut down currently, like the European Space Agency. Let's look at what they're going to be doing today, October 3rd, as it relates to 3i Atlas. Here we have a graphic that was recently released by the ESA as it relates to their goal to observe 3i Atlas across time. They call it a comet. Again, I think it's an interstellar object. That is undeniable. The question of whether it's a comet or not is still up in the air, but the mainstream view is that it's a comet, whatever. It was first detected July 1st. Now the second in this list here is today, October 3rd, when ESA's Mars Express orbiter and the ExoMars Trace Gas orbiter will observe 3i Atlas. And it's only going to be, as they say, just 30 million kilometers away. So that's about, again, 0.2 astronomical units. Then it has its perihelion on the 30th, and then afterwards, early November, ESA's JUICE, Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, will start observing 3i Atlas, because JUICE right now is actually in the inner solar system. So we see its orbit right there. And so we'll have 3i Atlas perform its perihelion, then in this part of its orbit, if it stays there, that's the other kind of big question mark. But if I had to bet, I would say it's going to continue on its trajectory. It'll be right there. JUICE will swing by it and be fairly close. There's Venus. This is also roughly the closest approach to Venus, by the way, though it does not get as close as it does for Jupiter or Mars, the distance between Venus and 3i Atlas. But then we'll get a bunch of measurements from JUICE, and these will be good because this will be when 3i Atlas is expected to be its most active because it's closest to the sun and it's had time to effectively charge up. The problem is that JUICE will be blocked effectively in orbit and be able to transmit to the Earth by the sun. So they say that we're not going to really get any up-to-date imagery.
You see that? When it gets to Jupiter, it's going to be blocked again. It's like this thing knows they don't want us to observe it, whatever this thing is.
On this or any of this data till probably about February 2026. So hopefully somehow there's a way to get that data sooner, but that's what I've read, is that we're not going to get any of this information on 3i Atlas from JUICE until next year. And then they'll continue these measurements even though 3i Atlas will be going this way out towards Jupiter and JUICE will be going this way towards Earth. So that is what ESA is playing. There are two other groups also that will hopefully observe 3i Atlas that are not the United States government. This is by China and the United Arab Emirates. Now, the Chinese also sent an interplanetary mission to Mars back in 2020, and this consists of 6 different instruments and probes, and one of those is an orbiter around the planet. So the hope is that they will turn the instruments on that orbiter to face 3i Atlas to capture a whole bunch of up-to-date imagery and data on it. And we also hope that the United Arab Emirates will also do that with their Mars mission. And they launched that also in 2020. So that is the hope and the goal. We don't know when that data is going to be released, if it's going to be publicly accessible. Typically, this sort of space data is, but that's not always the case. And really also the other hope is that all this data will be put together into effectively one bucket for researchers to look at, because there are going to be differences between them, but the key is that they're all going to be taken around the same time frame. And so by looking at this huge data set that we hopefully collect, we will be able to come to our best understanding yet of what 3I Atlas is, because we do have that other imagery that was taken by James Webb and Hubble and a bunch of Earth-based observatories, but it's further out. Now 3I Atlas is within the inner solar system, so it does have different properties. It just received that blast from that coronal mass ejection that likely ionized it a bit further. It's heating up, it's becoming more active, and so this data set from Mars is going to be absolutely key. So I will keep you up to date every step of the way. I'm looking at all these different FTP servers to try to get access to the raw imagery and data as soon as possible. So please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to stay in the know, and not only with 3I Atlas, but what is happening here on Earth from
coming fairly close to 3 different planets within our solar system while not making a close approach to Earth. That, of course, is assuming that it doesn't execute some sort of crazy maneuver while it's hidden on the other side of the sun. But assuming that it doesn't do that, then what is its objective? What drew the makers of 3I Atlas to our solar system in the first place? In my previous episode, I explored the possibility that 3I Atlas might have been the point of origin for the famous WOW signal, and the WOW signal might have actually been a radar scan of our solar system, studying the various planets in the so-called Goldilocks zone of our sun, and then once the solar system was seen as being something interesting, that's when 3I Atlas began to make its approach. But what if it sent probes ahead of time? What if it sent small craft that were very difficult for us to detect in advance of its approach to determine which planets were the most promising? And what would happen if one of these objects had malfunctioned, plunged through our atmosphere, had some sort of problem with its heat shield, and crashed into the Pacific, say in 2014? Well, an interstellar object did indeed crash in the Pacific off the coast of New Guinea in 2014. And it turns out that its point of origin was not all that different than 3I Atlas. And interestingly enough, if we are to assume that 3I Atlas is a partially natural and partially artificial object, say an asteroid ship, well, this probe also seems to be just that. All of this and more coming at you on The Angry Astronaut right now. Good morning, alien, and to that, and then after that, I'll be heading to Brisbane. But my visit, fearing for my life. It's the strangest thing because I've never had these sorts of experiences before. So I don't know. Time to get back to a little bit of normalcy, I think. All that having been said, though, there's nothing normal about what's going on right now with 3I Atlas. And after doing some analysis of another incident that a lot of you may be familiar with that happened off the coast of the Pacific, an interstellar meteor or an interstellar object of some kind apparently impacted in the ocean off the coast of New Guinea in 2014. The reason we know that it was interstellar is because of its velocity. It was traveling so fast that had it not hit our planet, it would have escaped the sun's gravity. That's how quickly it was going. That's how we can generally determine why.
See, this is why I'm hoping that 3I Atlas don't do the same damn thing, because if it do, we're not going to know about it. We'll be gone. We are toast. If that thing hit the oat, we're toast. That'll be it. Toast. We'll be done.
Objects are interstellar. It's because of their speed. Also, the trajectory makes a big difference as well, but the speed is the biggest issue. All of that having been said, though, after Avi Loeb and the Galileo project determined that, this object might have been interstellar. Something strange about it, too. It also penetrated too far into the atmosphere to have been a regular meteor. There are a lot of things about this object that we'll be talking about later that struck Avi Loeb and the Galileo project as being very, very strange. So they commissioned an expedition to try to find some remnants, some debris near the estimated impact site. They had a ship and a magnetic sledge that was dragged along the bottom of the ocean to pick up anything that might have been magnetic. And what they came up with was wreckage of sorts. Spherules. Spherules are these tiny little, not quite microscopic, very, very small, a millimeter, sometimes even smaller than that are left over in the remnants of a meteor impact. Tiny objects that were formed when a meteor passes through our atmosphere and gets superheated, and the materials congeal down into these tiny little fragments as the object explodes and impacts either on land or into the ocean. He found quite a number of these spherules, but the strange thing about them was that some of them didn't resemble spherules from any meteor that we are familiar with. As a matter of fact, there were materials that seemed to be more consistent with something artificial. But here's the thing that made me a little suspicious. Number one, the point of origin or estimated point of origin for this object, but more importantly, the composition of the object. Even though there definitely were spherules that bore a greater resemblance to something artificial than something natural, well, there were also spherules that were very natural and very consistent with something we would expect to find in a meteor impact. Strange combination, but at the same time, the sort of thing that we would expect from an asteroid ship. And therefore, if 3I Atlas is also an asteroid ship, might there be a connection? So from June the 14th to June the 28th of 2023, Avi Loeb led an expedition to the Pacific Ocean to retrieve remnants.
So it could have characteristics of a meteor, but it's actually a ship. It'll make sense that they would make it like that so it'll survive its trip. Going into another how would I say this? Going into another like planetary system. So it'll make sense that it will use certain, like it'll be dressed up as, so we want, I guess, for whoever's sending it, so we can't detect it. We won't think nothing of it. The only thing we're gonna think is just a meteor or asteroid. That's all we're gonna think it is, but it really isn't. Just so they're fooling us. They're really sending probes our way just to observe us, but it's really artificially made. You said it said only 5% of the sea is actually mapped. Yeah, that's true. It's a lot that we haven't even gotten to yet. You said so it's asteroid belt proof. Yeah, it already passed through the asteroid belt. It didn't hit nothing. Nothing. It made it through, because I remember the last time I went live on it, it was still in the asteroid belt. This thing is going fast. Fast as fuck. And I think it's actually going faster than they think they telling us it's going fast. It's going faster. Okay. Yes, it went and then navigated right through the asteroid belt, then hit nothing. Okay. I think this thing is being steered or being remotely steered from somewhere else. And it could be a probe, but the thing is, I'm a little worried though, because I'm looking at this thing like traveling, and it looked like it's coming towards us. That's what it looks like. Now they're saying it's not, but what I'm looking at, it looks like it is. And already a interstellar object already landed in the ocean back in 2014. And it has some properties of artificially stuff and man-made stuff. I mean, naturally made stuff. And now all of a sudden we can't see what it looks like on NASA's website because the government shut down. How convenient. Because on the second, because I remember it was right before Diddy trial, right before Diddy sentencing. I said, all right, because I had already had on my map. You see how big is it? Probably the size of Manhattan, or a little bigger. It's probably the size of Manhattan or a little bigger. That's big. What you mean the size of Manhattan? That's huge. That's like a spaceship. But, so that's what they're saying. It's estimated, right? But we can't see the pictures because we can't go on NASA's website right now because the government shut down. So we can't see it. They don't want us to see it. It's crazy, man. I knew something like that was going to happen. I said, this is too good to be true. You mean to tell me all we got to do is log on and go on the website and we can see it in real time? Nope. Government shut down.
Of the meteor dubbed IM-1, which was listed by NASA in the CNEOS catalog of fireballs and formally confirmed to be interstellar in origin by the U.S. Space Command in a formal letter to NASA. About 850 droplets or spherules were collected and brought to analysis in the state-of-the-art geochemistry laboratory of Professor Stein Jacobson at Harvard University. About a tenth of the spherules retrieved from this expedition showed a highly enriched composition with elements like beryllium, lanthanum, and uranium having an abundance of up to 1,000 times the solar elemental composition. So what does this mean? Well, apparently some of these spherules, although not all of them, only about a tenth of them, showed these very strange elements being present. Now, beryllium is a substance used in nuclear reactors. Beryllium naturally reflects neutrons, and beryllium plates are used to reflect neutrons back into a nuclear reaction in order to excite the intensity of the reaction, so to speak. Whereas if you want to slow down the reaction, you have boron plates that you expose to the core, and this absorbs neutrons, slowing down a nuclear fission reaction. And then you have lanthanum, which is used in a number of high-tech products, and then of course uranium, which is also used in nuclear reactors. Now, as I said, this abundance was up to 1,000 times the solar elemental composition. But how do we know that these spherules actually came from this object? Might they just have been there before the impact even took place? Well, just to be sure, Avi Loeb and his team dredged the sea outside of this area, a test area, so to speak, to see if the same spherules came up. If they did, then they would know that they didn't originate with this IM-1 object. And lo and behold, the magnetic sledge picked up nothing. Only in the area where the impact took place were these spherules actually found. But in spite of this, skeptics speculated that the beryllium, lanthanum, uranium signature might represent either human-made coal ash or some sort of volcanic remnants. But last year, the Galileo Project research team conducted a detailed analysis that demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt that the BELAU composition is different from that of coal ash. And this week, or rather a couple of weeks ago at the time of the publication of this article, the scientist Dr. Eugenia Hung from Jacobson's laboratory led a paper co-authored by 4 students and Dr. Stein and Dr. Loeb as well, which reports precise elemental data for other alternatives besides extraterrestrial alternatives to test the speculations raised by the skeptics. And in short, their findings were that any other objects, such as Australian tektites or Australasian tektites, that is, these things closely resemble the elemental abundance pattern of the upper continental crust of Earth for all the elements analyzed, and are very different from the spherules that were found. Now, to give a little bit more background information on this object, the entry of IM-1 into the Earth's atmosphere on January 8th of 2014 resulted in 3 atmospheric detonations, which were detected by U.S. government satellite sensors 84 kilometers north of Manus Island, again off the coast of New Guinea. The arrival velocity was more than 45 kilometers per second, but here was the problem. This object should not have been able to pierce that far into the atmosphere at that velocity if it were a normal meteor. A normal meteor should have disintegrated far higher up in the atmosphere if it were going that fast, which is one of the reasons that astronomers have been so critical of this discovery and feel that all of this information must be in error. But it just isn't. The more effort that's been put into confirming the results of this expedition, the more certain we are that this object did indeed come from an interstellar destination and that the spherules that were gathered came from this object. So the 850 or so spherules that were found were categorized into 3 different groups: S-type, I-type, and G-type. And then the strange ones, the ones that didn't fit into these categories that are typical for meteors of a variety of different kinds, not just interstellar meteors, were classified as D-type spherules. And the D-type spherules were the ones that had this very strange composition. But keep in mind, 90% of the spherules were actually quite similar to the types of spherules we would expect to find with normal meteor impacts. What does this mean? Well, it seems to indicate that we have a natural meteor that perhaps had some kind of technological modification to it. And that is very similar to what we think 3I Atlas might.
All right. Did you hear that? It could be like a meteor, but has some technological tech to it, meaning that they did that to mask it, so we won't know what it is. We just think, oh, look at this meteor coming. Oh, wow, we got another meteor, but it's really not. It's a probe. They're watching us. That's slick. That's slick, man. But now they don't sense something bigger now. It's so damn big and it's operating so precise, we can't ignore it. We just can't say, oh, it's a meteor. You know what I'm saying? Now we're like, I don't know what this thing is, but it's damn sure not what we're used to it being. We're not used to this. Whatever it is, we're not used to it. So that's what time it is right now. Don't know what it is, man. Like, for real. It looks like it's naturally made, but it's coming in so precise with such precision that you have to keep looking at it. They have to keep looking at it to make sure, because they don't know yet. But those spirals, the spherical things that they I didn't even know they collected that until I started researching this. They had collected stuff, and it just didn't, the stuff they collected, it just didn't, it seemed like it was naturally made and had tech to it. So something is definitely out there. I really believe that as big as this universe is, our mind can't even perceive how big this universe is. Okay. There is I forget the name of that black hole. It's huge. It's so huge that it'll suck up all the planets in our solar system with no problem. That's how big it is. It's bigger than the sun. It's way bigger than the sun. So imagine how big the universe is if that thing is so far away. And then they're trying to figure out now, we might be in a black hole. That's what they're saying. We might be in one already and just don't know it. So there's so much stuff that's going on that they don't even, we only know about 5% of the universe. That's it. The other 95%, we have no clue what's going on. None. Just like our brains, we don't know. Just like the ocean, we don't know. We don't know the 95% of the ocean. We don't know. And I bet you eventually, if these people decide to visit us, they're going to educate us to the point where what we've been educated on was just totally false. Everything, even God. They'll tell us everything has just been totally false, man. In fact, they may not think there's no intelligent life on our planet. They might think that they're not intelligent enough yet to even talk to. These people might be so deep that they communicate telepathically. That's how deep they are. Let me stop. I'm just this. I have been always curious. You said, "Am I getting on the ship?" I mean, if they friendly, I'll holler at them. But let me tell you something. You know what I would tell them? Y'all need to give me some news I could use so I can mess with these humans down here. You see what I'm saying? Enlighten me on something that I could use. Like, give me some type of tech that they don't know I have that I could use it against them. I sure would do it. But I'll do it on the low, though. You know? There was a guy that now, I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but he worked in the government and the military and, Area 51 or whatever you call it. He observed a alien spacecraft that crashed, and they sent a team to go look inside of it. Bruh, he said when they went inside, they had to quickly get out because they almost passed out. They said when they went inside, they were so surprised on what they saw that they had to quickly leave the door or they was going to pass out. That's how crazy their minds couldn't even perceive what they just saw. They said when they went inside the spacecraft, the inside was so vast, it was so huge that they couldn't understand it because the aircraft wasn't even that big. But it's almost like they went through a portal. It was almost like they went through a portal, he said. And then they had to quickly leave the door. He said to this day, they moved the spaceship away. But if you go through the door, it's like it's a huge space. And it was like, nah, man, I'm good. They left the door. So that means that they can. It's like they have a whoever these people are, they got a good understanding of dark matter, and they know how to use it or whatever. But I don't know how true that is that he said it. But so many people are starting to report on things that they have seen, and they said there's many species of aliens out there, and there's some that looks just like us. And what he was saying was all of the species of aliens that's out there, even the humans, they all meet at a certain area. It's called the Intergalactic Senate. They have representatives from all over the universe, and they don't like us because they were the only species left that are still at war with each other. That's what they said. Everybody don't make peace throughout the universe except for us. And he said that they're worried, and he said that we cannot self-destruct because they always intervene. You know, when you talk about nuclear and wars and stuff like that, he said they always intervene to make sure we don't self-destruct. And he said we cannot leave this planet. We're stuck here. We reincarnate. We stuck here. It's like it's a stage. But I don't know how true that is. I mean, that's just kind of like, But I have done so much research over the years reading my books that I'm like, damn, I must be going crazy. I'm like, it got to be life out here somewhere. Maybe that's why I'm so into this like interstellar object, I think, because I've like through the years, I've been reading so many books. I've read Behold the King Horse. I mean, the Pale Horse. I read that by William Cooper. That was like my Bible right there. Like I had it all. I had it, man. My book that I had bought, I remember where I bought it from. I bought it in New York. But it was a guy selling it on the street, and I purchased it. And he said, "Yo, be careful with this book here." I remember he saying that to me. He said that book is powerful. He said, "Never give it away." And I had all kind of like highlights and stuff like that. And I let a friend hold it, right? He never gave it back to me. I think that's why I stopped talking to him to this day. Like he just like it's like he took the book and never gave it back. I'm like, ask for it. Like, where's my book, yo? I never got the book back. And I got so enraged, like I stopped talking. I stopped talking to him, man. Like, where's my book, yo? I let you hold it. Yo, let me can I read that? I think you know what I think happened? I think he lost the book, but he didn't want to tell me. He lost the book. And I wish he could have told me he lost the book because I could have purchased another one because back then Amazon was popping. You know what I'm saying? But now the original book is like it's expensive on Amazon. You know, so and there was another book that he showed me. I should have purchased that one too. He said, "Look, check this book out." It was a black leather book. Like not leather, it was vinyl. The book, it was old too. He said, "This right here, this will get you arrested if you buy it." I remember the guy told me. He was an old dude back then. He probably not living anymore. He told me, "This book will get you arrested." He said, "You cannot find this book nowhere online. You can't buy it nowhere. And if they catch you with it, you get arrested." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, this is on a banned book list." And at the time he was selling it for $300. And you know, back then I didn't want to give him $300 for the book, but he let me read some of it. And it was talking about ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia and how aircrafts were there and how it said in the book that the Great Pyramid is built true north. I read this because I sat there and read it. It was built true north, and it's the only structure in the planet that's really true north. There's another structure as well, but this structure is really built true north, right? And it says something that there's something under the Sphinx. I forget what it was. There's something under it. In fact, they're not telling us. There is something under the shit, but they're not telling us. And then what they did was they did radar technology. And yes, there's something under these pyramids. There's something under it. And they don't want to disturb it because they don't know what's going to happen to the planet. They're like, is this shit going to knock us off our axis? They don't want to disturb it. And it's been a lot of meetings to try to figure out what they're going to do. But they still doing studies because there's some type of reactor under there. So if it's designed, if you disturb it, it's going to like blow up or something like that. That's what the book was saying. And come to find out, I was like, man, this is like conspiracy theory, right? I was like, this is conspiracy theory. But guess what they found? Guess what they told us maybe a few years ago? There are cylinders under the pyramids, and that's what the book said. Is there cylinders under it? Now I know you're saying, well, when was this? This was in 2000 when I was going to buy this book. It was back in 2000. He said there's cylinders under the pyramids, right? That go deep into the earth. It's cylinders. And I was like, I don't know if that's true because they would be able to they will be able to tell if they're cylinders. But guess what? They did radar technology and they just confirmed recently there's cylinders under the pyramid. So that book was correct. There's cylinders under it. There's more to the pyramid than what you see. That's what they said. So I'm like, I know what the book looks like, but I can't remember the name of it. But I know I've been trying to find this book, man, forever, and I can't remember the name of it. I bet you that book is like $1,000 now. Because before he said it was like 300 back then. And it's on the banned book list. Because he said the author of this book stole notes from the government. He stole the notes and put it in a book. Stole the notes. And then in Behold the Pale Horse, it said that Eisenhower at the time, it was during the holidays, he was supposed to be at not Kitty Bunk Point, Maine, not Camp David. I can't remember where he was vacationing. It's not Camp David, but they took him away from there, and he had a secret meeting with one of these aliens, and they agreed to start feeding us technology. And if you notice, ever since then to that date till now, our technology has sped up 100%. And I don't think humans are capable of doing that. And also, like your iPads and your phones, those are portals. You're literally watching, you're literally going back in history. It's crazy. Think about it. When you go back and look at old events from back in the day, like I was just watching the Kennedy funeral, that's a portal. You're literally going back in time. Even though I know what you're saying, well, Max, is a recording. We already had that technology. I get it. But it's still kind of like a portal, kind of. So that's what the books were talking about. But that's why I've always been into this stuff, because it's like it's crazy sounding, because this is stuff we never been taught in school. You know what I'm saying? You know, school gave us the bare minimum. You know, 2 + 2 is 4, 1 + 1 is 2, and they teach you a little bit of arithmetic, you know, like the dividing and subtracting, and they tell you that Christopher Columbus discovered America. How the hell you going to discover something that somebody's already here? But anyway, we even got his name wrong. It's Cristoforo Colombo. But Cristoforo Colombo, he discovered America with Christopher Columbus, and what else? You know, all types of stuff. They sit up there and lie to us about. You know, Jesus looked like one of the members on the Bee Gees. Long hair, blue eyes, and you know, that's what they told us. And in fact, that image of Jesus is a real man. I found that out later. It's actually a real guy. His name is Caesar Borgia, Borgia. Caesar. It's Ceasar, Caesar Borgia. Go look it up. It was the Pope of Rome nephew, straight up. And what happened was, he either told Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci, I forget which one did that. I forget which one. But he went to the Pope and said, we don't have no subject to depict what Jesus looked like. He said, well, use him. Straight up. He's like, okay, well, I'll use your nephew then. All right, we'll use him. And that's really him. And check this out. Caesar Borgia, that dude was a straight up criminal. Straight up killer, criminal. He was just doing all type of caper. So I believe that you curse yourself when you pray to that figure. I believe it's a curse. I believe it's a curse. And you notice that figure is in every black church on the damn planet. That damn picture of Jesus is in there. That's why I don't go to church no more. I will never go to church until they take that picture down, because that picture is Caesar Borgia, and they know it. Because anybody that went to seminary school and all that, they know that Caesar Borgia. They know it. They know it. But they have to be, in order to be a 501c3 corporation and get benefits from the government and tax benefits from the government, so you won't have to pay no taxes, that they were told that they have to teach a certain curriculum. They have to. And they have to have the U.S. flag in their church. If you notice, in those churches, they have a state flag in that church and they have a U.S. flag. Now, I know people saying, well, why does that matter? I mean, why would they have a flag in it? I mean, I don't know. I be like questioning everything, but they have to. There's certain things. And guess what? They get audited. They have a certain bishop that come, and he listens in. He just sitting on the preaching. He listens in and makes sure that they're teaching what they're supposed to be teaching. Okay, and one of the prerequisites, they have to have that white picture of Jesus in their church. They have to. That's Caesar Borgia. They have to. Ex Lyndon Johnson, because he updated when he was president. Lyndon Johnson, during the Lyndon Johnson administration. Okay, and a lot of these preachers, they have a conclave every year, and they meet, and it's just to figure out what they're gonna, misinformation they're gonna put in your head. That's why if you notice in the inner city, there's a lot of churches and all that, and the inner city was dead for so long. It's because they were the reason for it. And if you notice now in the inner cities with their gentrifying, it's not dead anymore. And those churches are going away. Did y'all know that? The churches are dying. The reason why is because they don't need them anymore. They were only here to further put down the hood, okay, or what we call the inner city. But if you notice, these inner cities are getting gentrified now, and these churches are going to be relics of the past. They're no longer needed anymore. And these churches were created even really after the slaves were let go. Because you remember, the church was a primary meeting place in the Underground Railroad. It was a meeting place where you strategize and different things. It was more than just a worship place. So what they did was they remixed it. They said, all right, cool. So they be going there. So we're going to use that to control the masses. All these churches are going to be relics of the past eventually, because they now the hoods are not what they used to be, because it's a push to move people back. So they're going to clear up everything that they started. They the ones started all this crime and all this dangerousness and all this stuff, and unleash these homegrown terrorists at us. These people out here that's killing and stuff, these are what you call homegrown terrorists that was created by the government to victimize us in the hood and stuff like that. And all these drug dealers and all these B-boys and all that, those were terrorists. They terrorized us. They were terrorists. But now that they want to clean up this place, you're going to see all this stuff eradicated. Gangs going to be eradicated eventually, because they want that property as prime real estate. New York City is prime real estate. It's going to be like Dubai eventually. It's only just going to be a playground for people that got money. But they're cleaning it up. Okay, they're going to clean it up. But those churches are no longer needed. Now, you do have some people that's holding on and still going to these churches, but if you do a little bit of history and a little bit of education, you're going to know that picture is Caesar Borgia. And my question to you is, why are you praying to a criminal? That's my question to you. You're actually cursing yourself. You're actually cursing yourself. So, and there's no reason for us not to know this now because of technology. There's no reason for us not to know it. But see, they got TikTok and they got all these algorithms to make us stupid. So we won't. So the history is there, but we won't look at it. So now I say all this because this 3-Eye Atlas stuff, there's something that's going on with this thing. Because now all of a sudden we can't see the pictures because the government shut down. Now we can't see it. I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to be, we're not going to be, I knew once they get close up pictures on it, they're not going to let us see it. They would have let us view the pictures if it was just a straight up comment. They would have let us see it, just like they did Muamua. But here's the thing about Muamua. I believe Muamua might have been more than a comment as well, but it was masked as a comment. But anyway, they did let us see it. They did let us see it. And when I did see Muamua, I said, that ain't, I don't know what that is. That looked like a ship. That's what I thought at first. But it wasn't. It was like a comet. But this right here, they're not letting us see it. You know, somebody told me a long time ago, well, they're not keeping the truth away from us. I said, yes, they are. They said, no, they're not. They put in a book. So that they can hide the truth that way because they know people are not going to read it. I said, interesting. That's true. If you want to hide something, put it in a book. That's what they said. But then if you go read the book, check this out. They're so slick. If you go read the book and you get the knowledge, people they're going to think you crazy anyway. So they still hiding it. You know, so it's just what it is. But I've been into this stuff since I was a kid because I know there's life out there somewhere, but I can't prove it. So, but I feel like somebody is giving us our technology. But maybe not, because a friend of mine went to Egypt. And I said, oh, yeah, man. So how was the pyramids? He said, that's not what you want to go for. I said, really? You know, the Great Pyramids? He said, yeah, I saw the Great Pyramids and stuff like that. in the Giza plateau, but he said that's not really why you want to go to Egypt. I said, yeah, what's up? He said the museum. I said, yo, Anthony Browder. I told him I could have went to Egypt a long time ago when Anthony Browder was having a trip there, and he was having a trip through the Egypt Museum, and he said it. He said that in the hieroglyphs there were spaceships. He said yes, and he said when he saw that he almost hit the floor. I said what? He said he almost hit the floor when he saw it. He said the Wright brothers plagiarized. They been had this technology. He said they weren't the originators of the aircraft. They weren't. He said it's written in the hieroglyphs. He said there were airplanes and there was one-man crafts too. And then the person that was taking him through a tour, because you're not going to tour the whole museum in just one day. It'll take like 2 months, 3 months to tour the whole thing. But he said that the people that man these aircrafts and all that, they left this planet. They left. And I was like, some people call them the Anunnaki. I don't know what you call them. But he said they left this planet and they were humans. He said their technology was so advanced that we're just catching up. That's how advanced their technology was. So, in Anthony Browder, you can research him. He made this book called, he authored this book called From the Browder Files. He was based out of DC metro area, DMV. And he's still around. He used to give tours of DC. And I went on one of those tours, and bro, he said some stuff about the Capitol building that almost like made me hit the floor. You know, when we see the Capitol building on TV, you know, during the inauguration, that's the back of the building. That's not the front. We rarely see the front. We rarely see the front. That's the back of the building. And I don't want to get too much more into the Capitol stuff because, you know, I'll get flagged on here. But also DC has a series of tunnels. It's a tunnel system under there. And on that day, I want to say, I have to speak in code. On that day of the attack, the senators and all that Congress, they went out through the tunnels. They were never going to get caught. So there's a series of tunnels and stuff in DC. That we're not privy to. And they also, how deep the Pentagon goes down is classified. We don't know. We don't know how deep that building goes down into the ground. It's classified, but you can guess on how far it goes down. But that's a very unique building because the Pentagon that you see, that's just the tip of the building. Did you know that? It actually goes deep into the ground. But nobody knows really how far it goes down. But yeah, that's the Pentagon. But I don't know, man. The last time I went by there, I got freaked out. There's an energy on the mall, and I don't think everybody could feel it. I felt it. So you know how you just sitting out there? You could just sit out there on a nice day. You know, you see the Washington Monument. Yo, I had to leave. I felt the energy was so overwhelming to me. I got scared and I left. And I was with my homegirl at the time. She said, "You feel that?" I said, "Yeah, I feel it, yo." She was like, "Yo, let's go." And I didn't want to look at that monument. And I don't know what, to this day, I don't know what that was. I did not want to look at it. I didn't want to get closer. And then she was like, "Yo, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." We held hands and we got out of there. And she told me, she was like, "I felt it too." And I remember we was sitting on a bench and people were walking by, you know, just like it was a very nice day. The sky was clear blue. And we sat there for about 20 minutes. Neither one of us was saying nothing. And I saw that she kept looking at me, and I was staring straight ahead with my hands on my to my side. And I was like holding on to the bench. I was like holding on to it because I felt like something was pulling me. So she was like, "Yo, you all right?" And I didn't say nothing at first. She tapped me, "Are you all right?" I said, "No." She said, "Me neither. You feel that?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Listen, we're gonna gather ourselves and we're gonna walk this way back towards the car, and we're gonna get the hell out of here. And we're gonna hold hands and we're gonna get out of here." And that's what we did. To this day, I don't know what that is. But anyway, that's my little story there. You said we are going through a transitioning on this planet. Be careful of books. Remember, they are written by humans. All you need is in the power of colorless love. He said, Sean Fam, did you know that God is not dark skinned, brown? Wait a minute, hold up. You said, did you know that God is not dark skinned, brown? Did you? What do you mean by that? You said, did you know that? How do you know what God looked like? Nobody knows. You can feel it, but you don't know what it looks like. We don't know what that entity looks like. I call it an entity. We don't know. You said this is why whoa, here we go. This is why women are so important to the universe. XX. Why? Because they got two X's and we got an XY. That's why you put XX. You said, right. God is a spirit. It's like I said it's an entity. So how do you know is what color this entity is? You said God is beyond all of this. That's a fact. It's beyond our comprehension. We only go back to the essence at death. As we call the great enlightenment or understanding. And then some of us come right on back because we want to do this life again. This ghetto ass, what we call life. We like doing it. You said exactly colorless. This is why we need transition ignorance. Damn, I don't know what that mean, man. You said transition ignorance. That's why we need transition ignorance. What's transition ignorance? You said you're not coming back, Cal. Yeah, you coming back. Why'd you come back this time? Why'd you come back this time? Because you wanted to indulge again. That's what you wanted to do. Oh, yeah, Andre, I had to, yo, that'll make you go crazy. You said if you like to raise your blood pressure, try to figure out who or what created God. That will mess you up. That will mess you up. And you know another thing? Try thinking about what if the earth rotation slow down? What if it just slow down right now? That'll drive you crazy. You see what I'm saying? What happened if Jupiter shoots off the planetary plane? Then all these everybody in the asteroid belt coming at us because Jupiter's regulating that. So imagine if Jupiter mess up. We'll be screwed, yo. Jupiter means something to us. But if you just think about how everything is perfect, man, we will lose our minds. You said Trump dropping the med beds on True Social was a white hats move. You said Trump dropping the what does that mean? Y'all speaking in what is that? What's the med beds? He dropping the med beds on True Social. Was a white hat smooth. What does that mean? I'm like ignorant. Like enlighten me, because I don't know what that means. That you said the med beds. Please. Max, the monument is an obelisk, an energy portal. Eyes, I will never go there again. Because I can feel it. Because we was out there, it was a very nice day. You know, you could have got a we was gonna rent the the electric bikes, electric scooters. You said look it up, champ. I mean, come on, just tell me something. Why, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Enlighten me. But yeah, eyes, I know you from around there, but I will not go back over around to that monument. Now, if I do go, it has to be a bunch of people with me, and I gotta hold somebody's hand. I'm telling you, I'll freak out. It's an energy over there. It's energy. And did you know that's the tallest monument? Why did they make that the tallest monument? Why does the Washington Monument has to be the tallest structure in DC? Ain't no other structure could be taller than that. Something is up with that. And yeah, bro. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But she felt it as well. Because we were talking, right? Until we sat down, because I started feeling weird. I said, yo, let me sit. Hey, man, let me sit down real quick. I said, yeah, just bullshit. I was talking, bumping my gums. It was sit right here. And as soon as we sat down, we both got quiet. And then I went and looked at the monument. It looked like it was glowing. I think because of the sun, because of the sun. But that damn thing was glowing, yo. It was glowing and it had energy to it. And she was like, you all right? I was like, no, I'm not all right. She said, I'm not all right either. She said, what we're going to do is we're going back that way. We're not going to the monument. We're going back that way. And did you know every time we was walking, we had to sit down a little bit. Because it felt like whatever it was in back of us was like trying to get us to go that way. That's what it felt like. Like, come on, come this way. I said, I think I'm losing my fucking mind. Like right now. And I didn't have a panic attack. I just calmed myself down. I was like, wait a minute. And then as soon as we got to the car and we left, we didn't feel it no more. So it was just, I don't know, maybe I was having a panic attack. You said med bed's supposed to cleanse us from sickness, regrow limb. China already came up with something right now. I think China's working on it too. I saw something recently. They got something to get the C out of your body. You said I could tell you more. I had a woman, wait a minute, woman tell me she's an alien. Her husband is DOD contractor. I work by the Pentagon. She always talked to me, and she had a social media, and she's a black woman. Says she's an alien. I heard they live amongst us. Jabbar said Donald Trump is the greatest president and one for the humans. He is doing what we are telling him to do. This is why Sean Combs received 4 years. He said the world/planet has been saved. You said you don't want China to see remedy. And they found out what causes aging. They found it out. And all they got to do is take it out of you and it'll reverse it. It'll like take 30 years off your life. I mean, add 30 years back to you. And like literally you'll look younger. It'll actually reverse the aging process. They just found that. I think they found this through AI technology. Like AI is helping us. Or some people call it alien technology. Now, if you ever be on Chat GPT and you elect to talk to the person, I don't like doing that. Because you know why? It's like I'm talking to a real fucking person, man. That's what it seemed like. It's almost like we're jumping portals of time. I don't even want to mess with that thing. I'd rather type it and it give me the answer. I don't want to because you could do it where you could chat with somebody, like chat with the robot, but it's almost like you're chatting with somebody. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. You said her husband is undocumented. Yeah, that's hilarious. Her husband undocumented. But anyway, I've been on long enough because I got to come back and talk about this damn David person because I think they're not even going to charge David now, guys. So I'm going to have to talk about that. You see, I hear Atlas is a shuttle to pick up the ones living amongst us. Wink. We shall see. You said you did a calculation, or maybe how many? You think it's a mothership to come take us home? Well, what if that's a mothership to come take us home? We get home and it's still drama. Y'all be mad, yo. I'm like, man, just take me back to Earth, man. If we got drama here, we still got it's fucked up there. Just keep me on Earth, man. I want to go somewhere we could just chill out. You know, have all the tech that we need, have everything in abundance. You know, everything just like Earth, but better. I don't want to go somewhere and we got problems. So I got to go all the way back. And we still got drama. We still got drama. You know what I'm saying? We still can't get along. There, they got a level of racism there. This alien don't like this alien. Nah, I'm good, yo. Let me stay here. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if the aliens got drama on their spot. They got baby mother drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they got their? I don't think so. I think it's just us. But you know, we'll go somewhere and mess up. You know. But shoot, if they got some type of, if it's better than here, I'm good. Let's go. I don't know. I miss, even though Earth is not perfect, it's gonna be some stuff I miss about this place. You know, you said develop real love, and you won't have to go anywhere. Oh, I got real love. I'm just joking. Damn, you said 17% of the population on Earth are the number of entities equal 1,304,580,000. Damn, what does that mean? Man, y'all getting too deep for me right now. Y'all gotta feed this to me in doses. $1,304,580,000. Oh, wait a minute. Well, there's more. There's a couple billion people in China, and there's a billion people in India. So it's more than that. What you're saying, as far as entities are concerned, it's more. It's more entities living than that. China got a couple billion just by itself, and then India has a billion. They just reached a billion not too long ago. And Southeast Asia has at least 500 million. You said we are more. What you mean we are more? We got more people. I feel like it's a lot of people in this damn country for some reason. It is packed out here. I feel like we got more than what we saying we got, but we don't have billions. Just imagine living somewhere they got a couple billion people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of souls living this earth. India got 1 billion. Just India alone reached 1 billion. That's a lot of people. It might be a balance. Ring of Thieves, good and evil. It's like a balance. Seem like there's more bad than good, but I think there's a balance here. But then again, I don't know. It seems like everybody going crazy out here. Anyway, let me get out of here. I'm gonna come back and I got something else going on. This David situation. So I'm gonna talk about that. I'll be back a little later. But this is my coverage on 3i Atlas, man. That's the latest. If they show us some pictures, you know I'm gonna be back. All right, y'all. I'll be back. Good conversation.